There you go. That's 2. Go. That's 3. There we go. Go. 4. There we go. Go. 5. Slow coming down.
Okay.
Go. 6. Go. 7. Go. 8. There we go. Go. 9. Go. 10. There we go. Perfect. A perfect. All right. Hip extensions.
Okay. With this, am my back knee bending or is it all the?
It's all the way straight.
Okay.
So the only leg is bending is the one in the front.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I'm like this. Oh
Nope.
no.
Opposite.
Okay.
There you go.
This bend.
Right.
Okay.
Chest up high.
Okay.
There we go. Try to keep that back leg straight.
Back leg straight.
Yeah, back leg straight.
How many you want of these?
10.
10.
And then we come back, we're going to do the other 10 on the other leg for the second set. There we go. Perfect. There we go. Welcome everybody to In Between Sets. Today we have AJ English here with us, and we're going to talk a little bit about what it took for him to get back to playing level. He went through a really, really bad ACL tear, meniscus tear. So we're going to talk a little bit with A about that. So A, how was it like? Let's talk about when you first injured yourself. So let's talk about that, and let's talk about like the mind frame you were in. Matter of fact, we're going to take it all the way to in the doctor's office. They do the MRI and everything. Tell us what was going through your mind and what was racing through your mind at that time.
Just the fact that my knee was so swollen, like I couldn't move. Like at first, I tried to be tough and walk in the doctor's office, and then
Yeah.
by the time after the MRI was done, I couldn't walk at all. So it was tough for me. And then I'm sitting down. Doctor says to me like, your patella was already slightly torn. Your
Mm-hmm.
MCL, ACL, and kneecap was halfway chipped off too. So it was like you're done basically for we don't know how long, and you'll never be the same. And it's Europe. I don't want to talk bad about them, but it's like they
Yeah.
have to be blunt when they're talking,
Yeah.
because the language barrier. So he was like, you'll never be as athletic. You'll never be this happy. We don't know if you'll even be able to play at this level in a consistent season.
Mm-hmm. So you're sitting there in the hospital. This doctor comes in. He examines your knee. He reads the MRI report, and he says, like, basically, your career is somewhat done. Like, you got to go find something else to do. So you go through that period of time, and you have the surgery and everything. So what was your mind frame coming out of the surgery?
I mean, he's not God, so I mean, like
For sure.
I can't
For
tell me
sure.
like my career is like or my whatever is done. Like I mean, I understand people go through or don't go through things, but at the same time, like he doesn't know the future. Like so, it's like
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, the people around me, like I mean, it was mentally tough, of course, because like I did have doubt as far as I knew potentially I was going to get back because it was like a obstacle in my life or just like a challenge that I was ready to prepare myself to meet. But at the same time, it's like you never know what could happen.
Right.
So my thing was more like getting hurt again afterwards. Like when I play again, will I get hurt again? Not getting back to be able to play. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, after the surgery and everything, it just was, I don't know. I just was like, I mentally was down for sure. It was like definitely in a dark place because like, it's tough to even like use the bathroom or get in the shower and things like that. I had to
Right.
struggle with, but in general, I don't know. I just try to take it day by day and just like, I just
So
try to
one,
do what I
so
do.
and we talk about it a lot during our in between sets when the camera's not on. We talk about it a lot. So I told you a little bit about my injury, my knee injury, how I just completely blew my knee out. And when you talk about a dark place, I know one of the things that was heavy on my shoulder is I took care of a lot of people in my family. So for me, it was like, what am I going to do? Like,
Yeah.
how am I going to navigate through that? And at that time, I was married at that time too, so I had the pressure of that along going with it. So let's talk about like, I don't know your situation far as like who you had the responsibility level. So the responsibility level, a lot of people don't know when you're a professional athlete, you have a lot of people that you're responsible for. So let's talk about a little bit about that. Like, what was going through your mind when, you're going through the rehab process, you're going through this, like, was it more, do you feel like it was more pressure on like, I got to get back because I know what I do for people and I help people in my family. Like, I got to get back to that.
I mean, of course. I mean, because at the end of the day, it's not necessarily like it's a responsibility for me, for them. It's just in general, like, when you become a professional and like the type of income you get, we don't have to necessarily talk about that, but it's like you're used to a different life. You're used to
Right.
like living a
Yeah.
certain way, used to going places, you get what you want, you could buy what you want, and at the same time, like I said, not necessarily talk about income. I was more than like I was cool, like more
You
than
was
fine.
comfortable.
Exactly, I was
Yeah.
way big comfortable, and the people around me were comfortable.
Hmm.
And at the same time, I mean, I'm thankful, with my mom, and she's been through like the situation, with my dad and stuff, so it's like
Hmm.
she understood, like injuries happen, but mine was such crazy because it was a 2-year thing, and that's like
Right.
I literally still to this day try to find somebody. I look up the time. Okay, how long is he out? And they only give me like a 6, 7 months to a year. But two
Yeah.
years, of not like literally, my first from college on, like I was gone. Like I signed a really good contract with my agent I have
Right.
now. With like in Italy. So I was living in, like I said. So it's just like, I mean, I always was a humble like type of person, and like I'm not. I don't. I'm not humiliated. I walk around with humiliation anyway. So I mean, I never like cared what nobody thought about me.
Right.
But like, it's like I just found out, who was really with me and who wasn't. Because like when that money ain't coming in like the same as it was,
Ooh.
some people tend to like,
So hold it right there. So
yeah.
we're gonna pick the conversation back up when we talk about when you go through a tragedy like A went through. I know for me, I went through a tragedy, with my injury. We're gonna talk about like the circle of people you got around you and how everything changes when you go through tragedy in your life. So we're gonna hit another set. We're gonna come back and we're gonna get into that topic right there. All right. All right. So now we're gonna get into the part where we talk about the circle around you, how the circle around you shift. Like, when did you started noticing, like, after you got injured and then you're at home, and let's talk about like how the shift happened. How do you notice the shift?
I mean, just in general, like you probably ain't getting the same call, your phone ain't ringing as much, same
Yeah.
attention. We're not gonna go into other relationships, but like it's just like people just in general just kind of like change, like as far as like I don't know. It's like if they knew that you couldn't do something for them, then it was like no
The
reason
phone
for them.
call
Yeah,
stopped.
like I'm like, oh y'all going somewhere? Y'all going? Or I wasn't getting a
Right.
call, like and it's like I said, I'm not. I mean, I don't got to go into, like I said, the
Right.
background, but I wasn't worried about it because a lot of people don't know what type of things I was going through when I was younger. To get
Right.
so once I got to that situation, it was like, okay, like
I
yo,
know. I know. For me, not to cut you short. I
yeah.
know for me, it was more of the fact that like when I asked the question after after everything happened, I rehabbed and I kind of got better, and then I rejoined my team. I know for me, it was more like when people started reaching out again, and I was just blunt with people. I was like, "Yo, you ain't called me when
Mhm.
I kind of needed help."
Mhm.
I know the number one excuse I always got was, "Man, I ain't want to bother you because I know you were so
Yeah.
focused on trying to
Right.
get back." And I'm like, "Huh?"
But it's like, are you bothering them during the? I guess if you want to say that, you're bothering them during the course of the whole year. Even when you're playing, you're making sure, like, or making like, having situation. And like I said, it's a select few people that I knew I could count on at that point in time. that didn't judge me. Like, even the person I'm with now, like, never judged me, never
Right.
didn't know, knew possibly who I was, but never judged me, and it was like, that's why, like, I said to them, I always speak things into existence like we do, like,
Yeah.
what we gonna do to plan it ahead, and I said to them, like, I got you forever, like, you
Right.
at this situation, like, you holding me down, you not really telling my business on what I got going on. Like, I always, like I said, my mom did a great job. And the people I was kind of around to, like, saving, and be able for, like,
Yeah.
those lonely nights and dark times, to be okay still. But at the same time, my family and the people around I knew I could potentially count on. And they definitely stood tall for me. I told them, like, when I get back, it's like, it's I'll be
You're
back.
right.
Yeah,
You're gonna
exactly.
get back.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's talk about one of the things that I want to talk about too is also, and you mentioned it a couple of times, the mental space that you were in.
Hmm.
I know for a lot of athletes that that get injured and they fighting their way back, and some even high school players and stuff like that. I know I have had several high school players where it was coming up on their senior year and they got hurt
Hmm.
and they had no scholarship offers. I mean, I got probably 3 on that wall right now that got injured, major injuries, and they battled back and
Hmm.
they were able to get a scholarship somewhere. So we're going to talk about, like, give me your perspective of where your mental was, like, throughout the rehab process.
I mean, regardless, like, playing at that, especially when you get to that level, playing at that level, you already in that type of space anyway. You have to be, because,
Hmm.
like, you have to block out what's going on, and you kind of gotta, like, not be the same as everybody, because you're not the same as far as, like, athletic wise. You're
Right.
different percentage, to get to that level. So mentally, you're already in that space, because you're just every single day you're emotionally just up and down. It's over good game, bad game. So, like, me going into, like, being hurt was like, I
Yeah.
couldn't even say it on camera. Like, the stuff I was thinking about, like, literally, like, it was just so, it was like, and it's still, honestly,
Yeah.
even now, like, I'm doing way better because I just played last season, but still trying to get all the
Yeah.
way out of that space, because it's like times that I just was like, I was sitting in the room, like, like, literally in the dark, like,
Right.
for, like, and like, I didn't want to see people. I didn't even fly people out there because I was overseas for my
For
first,
the first
yeah,
for the
four or
first part of your
five,
rehab.
exactly. So,
Yeah.
like, the whole bending your leg, and they
Yeah.
didn't put you on a machine, they bend it.
They bending it. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
there's
cranking on it.
so exactly. So me
Yeah.
going in there, don't have the same pain medicine as here, so I'm going through it, and it's
Yeah.
like, remember one time I fell on the floor, I just laid there, like,
Bro, it's crazy that
yeah,
you brought that up because I'm like sitting here thinking, I'm like, for me, it was like I was in that dark space and it was just like, man, I can't even go to the bathroom.
can't do nothing.
Like I can't even
Yeah.
sit,
Mm-mm.
like trying to sit
Yeah.
on the toilet, bro. It
Hmm.
was
And then it's like, I wasn't embarrassed, but it's like, I knew, like, through the course of, like, your life, you, even if something's wrong, we can't tell somebody something's wrong, because how people look at
right,
the person, potentially, like, there's, like, that's, like, the person that you got to keep it together for a lot of people. So, like, I didn't want nobody around me
right.
to see me
You
like that.
isolated
Yeah,
yourself.
because it
Yeah.
was like, they probably break down even more than, like, Superman, whatever they
Right,
call it, is hurt, and I'm like, nah, like, so I didn't even want them to
right,
see me like that. So it was tough. Definitely,
right.
it was definitely tough.
So yeah, a lot of people don't know, like mentally, like it just
Yeah.
the simplest things that we take for granted, like
Mhm.
going to the bathroom on our own,
Mhm.
going up a flight of stairs,
Showering, like,
showering, like
yeah.
things of that nature.
Mhm.
Like
Just
you
being
can
able to
no
walk.
longer do
Mhm.
that on your own no more when you
Yeah,
get injured.
exactly.
So it's like the worst feeling in ever. The feeling I can't even describe it to you, not unless
Mhm.
you've been through a major injury.
Mhm.
You're used to being at this high level, and then now all of a sudden a tragedy happens where in life and you drop back down, and it's like, man, dude, like where do I go from
Yeah.
here?
What
Like
do I do?
what do I
Yeah.
do?
Exactly.
So we're gonna talk about a little bit about, we're gonna do another set, then we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about how the second half of his rehab, how he got introduced to me and how we started working together and to get him ready for the upcoming season. So stay tuned. We're going to do another set, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the second half of his rehab and getting back on the basketball court. Here we go. Slow. There we go. Perfect. There we go. Nice. There you go. Perfect. Perfect. There we go. Good hold at the top. Nice.
That's
There we go.
different shoes. I didn't too much. Left foot.
There we go.
Jump high.
So that means what?
Gotta jump up more.
Right. So that means you got to get more on the squat.
All right.
Okay. You got to be here
Okay.
to get there. Okay. So good explosion. Squat more. Here we go. Boom. Squat. Perfect. That's what we're looking for. Perfect. Exactly what we're looking for. Nice. Nice. Perfect. Nice. There we go. There we go. What we got? 4 more?
Yes.
Here we go. Give me a good explosion.
From here to there?
Yup. Give me a good lateral explosion.
Okay.
Much better. Finish it. Nice. Here we go. 3 more. Here we go. Good explosion. Nice. Perfect. Perfect. Here we go. 2 more. Here we go. Finish it. There we go. Here we go. Last one. Good explosion. Nice. Little bit of a burn, right? All right, hey. So y'all getting the real behind the scenes right now. You know what I'm saying? So let's talk about, so what a lot of people don't recognize is you did this during the pandemic. So during the pandemic, so you finally get the okay to go home because you were overseas. He was overseas his first half of his rehab.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the green light, you back home. So you're trying to figure out, like, what are you going to do? Like, what's some of the things you did before you met me?
Just I try to pick up on the same things. I worked out at the other gym, CD4 Fitness, and
Okay.
he gave me the basically the okay to go in there and work out all the time, and
Mm-hmm.
I just try to pick up on the same things that I did when I was
Oh, okay.
overseas.
So when we first met, and I was talking to you a little bit, you were thinking about getting out of here at Delaware and going to find somewhere to do your rehab. So how did you come across me and what I do here at the training cave?
The reason why was just because I was kept going to UD, and they put you on a machine in there, and the percentages you have to be at for your knee.
Right.
It wasn't like it
Wasn't
wasn't
where
click.
you
Yeah.
need to be.
So every single time I go in there, they say like you're supposed to be at this percentage, and I wasn't getting there. So I remember I'm sitting in the field house, and I'm at that point, like you said, I'm like, I gotta go somewhere, like, and because it's like I don't know how the time period is for me, but I need to get back, you know.
Right.
So it was a kid, I don't know his name. He was working out. He had a wrist injury. I think with the Saint.
Oh, you're talking about was it DJ or
Not DJ, but it was just somebody else.
Jaden?
Yeah, I think Jaden.
Jaden,
Exactly.
yeah,
And he
Jaden.
worked out with Amar Mason. So I'm sitting with my young boy LJ. And he was like, I got somebody for you that he goes to, like, you know. And I'm like, he said, nah, bro, like, you just look at his page, look at it, what he's doing. I messaged the page. I'm talking to her. I'm not talking to you. So I'm like, hey.
Yeah,
So I'm
because a
like,
lot of everybody think that when they go to my business page that they're actually talking to me, and it's
yeah,
like, nah, you're talking to
yeah,
Shonda.
exactly. So she's
Yeah.
like, just set it up. There's this, is that. I'm like, so she does the workouts, but I'm like, you're not the same. We're the guy that look like the Terminator on there, like working everybody out. So then that's when he was like, nah, it's perfect. So I'm like, okay. I was telling my friend, like, bro, I'm gonna come in here. You want me to explain how that part when I met you?
Yeah. So so let's talk about like when you first met me.
Yeah.
So you came in here and I looked at your knee, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm basically going over. We do a full body assessment, so I'm basically going over with him like what we're gonna work on and what we're gonna do. And he kind of give me this deer in the headlight look, and he like, bro, like I'm just trying to lift a couple of weights, do
Yeah.
my 1-2, and get up
Uh-huh.
out of here. And I had to really break down. And a lot of athletes, they just don't know what they don't know. So I had to really break down the science behind everything that we're going to do. And for him and for a lot of athletes, it's a trust. Like he's putting his career in my hands. And that's for me, and we're going to get off topic a little bit. For me, I don't think a lot of trainers recognize that. Like when a player comes to you, he's putting his whole entire career in your hands. And we're not going to hit on this subject a little bit, but last night I sent you a video of some, we're not going to name no names, of somebody's in the gym working out and he's rehabbing from an injury and he winds up doing another injury because of the type of workout he was doing with that trainer. And me and you talk all the time, like over time, we develop a trust for one another. So when I ask him to do something and I do it, he's like, dude, like you like Superman, you can do that shit. Like, excuse my language. He's like, I can't do that. And for a long period of time, I would say, what would you say, about for 2 months and a half, like me and him, it was some friction going on because he was like, bro, I can't do it. And I'm like, hey, you're going to do it. Like, you're going to do it. Let's do it. And we did it. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, and as time went on, that trust level, anything I asked him to do, his reaction was like, but he did it and he trusts the process. So talk a little bit about that. So we're working out and we're going through things. So let's talk about the first time that you got actually back on the basketball court. Because I didn't let you play for the first, 3 months? I didn't let you.
Maybe my friends have changed because I was already maybe 2 months because I know I was
You were
playing
doing
just a little,
drills.
drills a little bit.
But so the way it works when you're rehabbing somebody, you give them a percentage. So I think it was every other week or every week, I would say, hey, you can go 50%.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And then the next week I'll go, we'll reassess everything. And depending on how his knee, is a lot that goes into it. Flexibility in the knee, any aches and pains, swellness, anything like that, I would back his percentage off. So during that time, I would say, hey, you can go 60. And then he would share his videos of him doing things, and I'd be like, look, you need to trust the knee to take off to do this. So talk about that, like when I gave you those percentages, what was going through your mind?
First, talk about the first workout. You said assessment. You said assessment. He tried to get over it real quick. He said assessment. So people say assessment's a little like checking everything. We doing all this extra like on the wall stuff. All this stuff. I was just gonna talk about that briefly. So it's just like that was like I'm like, oh man, like I didn't come here to, like you said, but it's like you showed me, you took out the chart and you showed me exactly, and a lot of trainers, like just in general, like you said, they don't really know the science of everything. You showed me exactly where I got hurt, exactly where my cartilage should be and everything like that. Where's my cartilage at that's maybe messing with my knee, this, that, and so that alone like had my attention, like, oh yeah, he knows what he's talking about. So like speeding up to as far as like getting back, I just, like I said, during the course of this time building up, I trusted you because like you just could tell even my movement of walking or waking up in the morning or when I'm doing the drill, when I'm being able to be a little bit more explosive. And then the people that are around me, like the young boys I had around me, they were like, oh bro, like you look like like you're
Like you back.
yeah, like you're back. And I'm
But
like,
I'll
oh
always
nice,
tell you
yeah,
like what?
nice. That no,
No.
wait. I'm like, hold on, but I just dunked. He's like, wait,
Yeah.
wait. So then I had a guy, Tone. I thank God for Tone too. But he was like, you can't play today. I'm like, nah, my trainer said I can't play. I can't play today. He said, who is this guy? I'm like, I don't know. He had to be a war somewhere or something like it. He just like I said. So I was like, but he said, man, he got you looking like you like great. But then it's crazy. A lot of people will watch like what we do, and they like, bro, like, are you getting ready for like the pandemic zombies coming out to kill everybody? Like I'm like, bro. But then I get back on the court and I'm playing against them, and they like, oh, okay, like yeah, it's. But a
It
lot of people can't
transferred.
do these workouts though.
Nah,
Honestly, a
nah.
lot of people can't do that. I'm
Well,
not saying I'm different than everybody else, but it's like I just like the challenge, you know? Like
it's difference in and how I got to the level that I got to is a lot of people don't know I have an exercise science background. I have a physical therapy background.
exactly.
So for me, when you have that type of background and you know about the injuries and you didn't rehab people from those type of injuries and stuff like that, when you mesh that into the workout, like you get a whole different recipe. And is that and all of your workouts was tailored to you. It wasn't something that I looked on Google. It wasn't
Exactly.
something that I, saw somebody else doing
Yeah,
in their
exactly.
gym.
Right.
It was tailored to you. And a lot of people don't understand. We're gonna hit on that a little bit, is when an athlete is coming back and he's back doing the things, they're like, oh, he's back. And it's like, nah, he's not back
Exactly.
yet.
Right.
So for him, it was the hardest thing in the world because the outside world was telling him he back, and he's like, yeah, I'm back. And then you got me that's telling him like, hey, no, you're not back
Yeah,
yet.
right.
So it was, for him, it was like he was torn between the two worlds. It was just like, do I listen to this guy or do I listen to my people? Like they know how I get down, how I ball. And I'm just like, hey, you're not fully back. Like, this is what's going to happen if you go full tilt. You're not ready to go full tilt yet. And I think a lot of athletes struggle with that because they get into the rehab process, they're going through it, and then they got the outside people telling them they're back. They got coaches trying to get them back on the court and everything like that. And you have a trainer that's been with them from almost day one, and they're telling them like, "Lo, you're 50%, you're 30%, you're 75%." And for him is the most frustrating thing in the world as an athlete, because you want to get back as soon as possible. This is your love, this is your passion, this is what you're used to doing. So that was one of the toughest things that I had to get to understand. Like, this is a process. And I kept telling him that this is a process that he's going to go on. This is a journey that he's going to go on. So let's fast forward a little bit to I fully tell you you're back. So
That was my birthday.
I fully tell he's back. So I'm like, go play, do what you do. So take me through the process, because you went and you played in the summer amp, right? You played in the summer amp. So let's talk about that first game where you fully back. There's no restrictions, everything.
The first game it was more like skeptical as far as like just a little bit under the whistle, people playing at that intensity, but like it was more honestly when you told me I could really play was like the open runs were just kind of the same as
Oh yeah, with Coach Tone.
Coach Tone was more
Okay.
the same, just as if not better than some of the pro-ams, like so it was like when you told me that, I remember I'm texting everybody like, today's the day, like today's the day. I
Yeah.
remember I even told my mom, like, she's like, go get her. Like it's
Right.
like I put my super suit on or whatever, and I just was like, I don't know, I was just like, it felt great that you told me that, and like you knew because off of the workouts that we did, off of
Right.
being in here and taking me through this whole like obstacle course plus weights, and you just knew. So I just told Tone like, yo, Tone, like, make sure everybody in there today, like make sure like you get
Right.
everybody on the list that's possible, like that's at the top to get in today.
Right.
And then I remember I played that day and I text you like yeah, like
Yeah.
it's on,
Because like right after that, 2 weeks later, you wind up getting a couple of NBA tryouts.
Exactly, yeah. And
Yeah.
it was randomly too with that. I was just like, randomly asked like to come to a workout, with with an NBA team, and I text you, I told you, he was like, go get him, and I did what I had to do.
You did what you had to do.
Mhm.
So let's fast forward a little bit. So you do the NBA tryouts. You killed it. You did what you had to do. So how hard was it for you to say, you know what, like, I want to back down out of the NBA right now, and I just want to go back overseas and really see what my game is at,
Yeah.
you know, versus jumping into the NBA and probably sitting the bench a little bit until you get your turn. And I always told you, like, you want to play right now.
Yeah.
So anywhere you can go to play right now to see what caliber player you are.
Yeah.
So tell them a little bit about your struggle with that, how it was for you to choose to go back overseas and play again versus go to an NBA team and practically sit the bench until wait till your turn.
I mean, mentally, it's just tough to go overseas, regardless. You know, the 10-month thing. You know, you over there by yourself. So, like in general, like that was part of it too, because being home during the time I was hurt, a lot of people that I was around, like I said, the person I'm with now probably wouldn't have met, and also like you know my family, the babies, everybody, you know, growing up. So me being around them again, then having to leave, you know, is tough. You know, but
Right.
that's the sacrifices we take. But at the same time, like I just like my whoever the agent I was with now, we don't have to go into details. You know, we had it like he also told me to go over there too. You know, me personally, like I thought potentially like, and we also talked about it too. You know, I could have, you know, did what I had to do and been ready for sure. But
Right.
I think, like you said, like playing and showing people that I'm back was more important than like you know taking a chance. Like, hey, um, I'm here, you know, and then people always ask, like, hey, well, we don't see stats from you for the past year or two. What happened?
Right.
And then they say, oh, I tore this, that, and they're like, oh, okay, let's watch him. So you might ankle might hurt,
Right.
finger might hurt, I might have a headache, or is it your knee
But they're
bothering you? You
going
know?
back to the major injury that you had
Exactly,
and be like,
exactly, yeah. So
I
like I
kind of
said,
like
that was
don't
the
want to
thing
touch
why
that.
my
Yeah.
age, like I, you know, of course I trusted my agent, you know, and I was like, okay, bro, I understand what you're saying and what you were saying because it was like, you know, he's a great agent. Like he told me, like, hey, you got to show people your back first. You know,
For
at the end of the
sure.
day,
Yeah.
nothing's handed. Like you know, and I never wanted anything handed. So that's what he's like. Let's go show people your back, and then after that, you know,
Right.
we take off from there. So like, yeah, you saying that and me wanting to play and not sit the bench or have to battle or sit behind somebody or a younger kid I know I'm better than is definitely
Right.
a thing for me.
Right. So we're going to get into another set. Then we're going to come back and talk to A, and we're going to close it out. We're going to talk about his this past season and how great he did and all the accomplishments that he had this past season. Yep. Good balance. There we go. Perfect. Perfect. Keep that head up. Perfect. Right. So now come straight down. There we go. Because you did what? You came up too fast. Remember, this is a controlled thing.
Okay.
This ain't about how fast you can go. Just stay in control the whole entire time. Get this time to activate every muscle in your body. Down low. Okay? There you go. So every muscle is activating slow. There you go.
I think I'm just getting tired.
There we go. There we go. See, the video make you think, people think that you do them all perfect.
No.
Now they get to see the behind the scenes. There you go. Here we go. Two more. Two more. There you go. One more. There we go. Walk straight back, straight back, straight back. Boom. There we go.
Start down first.
Yep. Rest them on your shoulders. There we go. Boom, straight up, straight down. There we go. There we go. Perfect. There we go. Drive. There we go. Perfect, perfect, perfect. 6. There we go. There we go. Good drive. There we go. Last one coming up. Last one coming up. All right, hey, so let's talk about, so you get off the plane and did you go straight into a game when you got off the
Yeah.
plane?
Oh no, I had a day to get ready for a game.
You had a day to get ready
Yeah,
for the
there
game.
was a game that day, but I didn't play.
You didn't play in the game
I
that
played
day.
in the next one the next
So the
day.
next one. So let's talk about the first game. So walk me through like what was going through your mind. This is your first game back in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the first game back.
I just at the same, of course, I don't really get too nervous, but I just was like more worried about like getting injured. Like, am I gonna be the same? Am I like, I don't know, am I too old? Like, as far as to have an injury like that and come back. So,
Right.
and then we were playing the team that I got injured when I got injured. We were playing that team.
Oh, you played that team?
That exact team. It
Wow.
was crazy because like literally the
Crazy.
day that I mean the game I sat out wasn't a team. The game I go play, and I'm like, man, this God telling me like, all right, like I gotta start
For
when I
sure.
finish. Like, I finish where I started. So like it was it definitely like going through the mindset of everything. I'm texting everybody, of course, texting my mom, person I'm with, like it's just and they just like, you ready? Come on, you ready? You ready? You ready? But it's like I said, it's such a mental thing with every game, with the
Right.
game, and with just a lot of stuff. It's like if you don't believe it, then
Nobody gonna believe it.
nobody
Yeah.
gonna believe it. Yeah.
So you wind up playing in that game and you did
Yeah.
crazy good in that
Uh-huh.
game. So then you wind up. I think did you sit out the next game or you played the next
The
game?
next day I played, but I was just exhausted. I was tired, but I already seen what I needed to do. It was
Right.
exhibition games during the season, and
Uh-huh.
I saw like, yeah, like all right,
Okay.
like
So
this is gonna
so
be
now we're gonna fast forward to like you coming towards the end of the season. Like in your mind frame, give us a quick synopsis of like the whole entire picture, how you felt about the season, like how you felt like you did throughout the
uh
season.
I feel like I'm proud of myself. I was choked up, talking to, the people around me as far as like, how I did, because like like I said, people like I can't like it would never be like, a story or never be a time that I won't like talk about this time in my life. Of course I didn't went through off the course stuff way worse than this, but like not playing in 2 years, and it's like I just be saying like show me somebody that potentially like at the time like didn't play in 2 years and you couldn't tell like nobody could tell like I had teammates I had every fans I had like people like literally say like I'm like bro I didn't this is my first game in 2 years. Somebody said bro I thought you played last year I thought you and I'm like nah bro this is my first season and at this level people don't understand because like we're not the NBA so we don't get the same publicity as but
Right.
like you said,
Right.
like player Luca, was talking about the physicality overseas and how hard it is and harder to score and play overseas. And the rules are so much different. So
Hmm.
like I just like now and it's like can't nobody tell me nothing. Like honestly, I can't do.
Right.
Before I really didn't believe. I mean, nobody could tell me. But now it's like I'm not even like mentally like here. Like as far as like when I
Right.
step on that court, what I'm doing, what I'm doing. Like so, it's like they haven't even seen nothing yet, honestly.
Right.
Like and
So I'm glad you said that when you said they haven't seen nothing yet. Like they think that the version that they saw this past season was something like the next version of you is going to be through the
yeah, no, it's
roof.
like I was born again. Like like I
Right.
just like like I take two pictures, like that we buried at AJ. Like this is like whatever you
Right. You
want to
feel
call
like a
it.
whole
It's,
new
yeah, for
player.
sure. Because even like I said, I was playing years and years with a torn patella, and I didn't know. So even now, besides having the surgical, part in my like body that like the cracks and aches that you have,
Yeah.
like I'm
Yeah.
like I feel great. As far as working out, I feel strong. It's a lot of things that I learned from you and from just researching, going on, and like just the body, like we always talk about. And it's like
Hmm.
it's so much stuff that people could really lock in, mentally
Right.
with it that they don't understand and know about, as far as themselves.
So it's funny that you say that. Like, so the version of you before you got hurt, do you really think you was training the proper way?
No, and this is not no knock to no trainers. This is probably me more of anything. Um, it's just coming from the where I came from, the mid major and everything like that. Like if I'd have known my patella was torn, and if I'd have known like going, but it's like I was still like scoring, doing leading the
Right.
country and scoring places and getting good jobs. But it's like I talked to a coach that years before I was with in the Czech Republic, and he said to me like I knew something was wrong with you, and I'm like, what do you mean? He said because like you just your movement or like when you sometimes he said on the floor it's just
Hmm.
like you something was wrong when you were moving. He said I knew
Right.
something was wrong with you, and I'm like, and I sat back and said like maybe something was wrong with me, but that just goes to how much I worked so
Right.
hard and skill in my game to be able to hide it. But
Hmm.
now it's like
Right. That's
yeah.
why when you came back and when you came back the other day and we did your assessment, that's why I did the full body
Mm-hmm.
assessment. We did all the measurements on your knee, we did all the measurements on your shoulder, your hips, and everything. So when you become a trainer and you're training an athlete, when he goes off, a lot of people don't understand what's going on. So he goes off, he has his season, he comes back to you. Like, you just don't get into training back right away. You have to assess that client and see what kind of nagging injuries he went through through the course of that season. So you got to make sure that those numbers, when you do those measurements, those numbers are normal. Um, Say, for instance, like when we did the measurement on your knees, if one knee, the flexion on it was 140 degrees and the other knee is only 120, me as a trainer and me as having a physical therapy background and everything that I has, that's telling me is something going on with the right side of his body. And before I do any weight training or anything, we have to assess that and make sure if I need to send him out to an independent doctor to find out what's going on. Like, it is my job. It is my job to take care of him when he's here with me. So anything that I see that's off, I'm sending him out right away. If I can't fix it, I'm sending him out right away to see a doctor to find out what's going on so we can nip that in the bud. The worst thing you can do as a trainer is train a client and you don't know what's going on with him, because it's just going to make the injury worse. And A talked about that a little bit, is when he first originally tore his patella, he had a lot of people telling him, "Oh, you're all right, you're all
Yeah,
right." But he
jumpers knee.
felt it in his body that something was wrong. But you have all of these people in the background. You have, training staff. You have a lot of people don't know the training staff. When you go back to your team, their job is to make sure you get on the court.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're telling them this is hurting, but you can still physically do things,
Mm-hmm.
like, they're
Doesn't
going to tell you
matter.
to go back on the
Right.
court. You know what
Exactly.
I'm saying? A lot of people don't know, and I talk about this with a couple of my clients. When AB had the injury when he was with Tampa, he told the training staff, like, I don't feel right, man. Like, I can't. And they're saying, like, nah, AB, you good. Like, see, you can run up and down. And AB, like, nah, something is wrong. Well, come to find out, AB had something going wrong with him, and he wound up having to have surgery. But it created all of this friction between him and the coaches, because for some reason they thought that he was lying just because he was able to run 2 or 3 routes.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you as a player are able to jog up and down the court and hit a
Mm-hmm.
couple of jump shots doesn't mean you're ready to go back on the court.
Right.
So a lot of you guys have to, and we're gonna close this out. A lot of you guys have to be mindful of, it's your body. So if you feel as though there's something wrong with your body and you can't play to the potential that you're used to playing, shut it down, go see an independent doctor, and go from there. I want to thank you so much, A, for being on the show today and walking me through. I know sometimes when you talk about it now, I know when I talk about it with people, I get a little misty because it's like, man, people don't understand what I
Exactly.
went through
Yeah, like it's
to
so much.
get back
It's
to
so
where
much.
I'm at. So I know for you guys is a little bit of emotional roller coaster when you got to talk about your battling your way back to where you're at now. So I appreciate you coming out.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
Appreciate you.
everybody, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, In Between Sets, and we'll see y'all at the next In Between Sets. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, let's